The Toronto Raptors had another chance against the Los Angeles Lakers, a night on a back-to-back after going down to the wire with the Los Angeles Clippers. This one was not that close. It started out close, though. It started out pretty well for the Raptors. If you're being honest, the Raptors were, moving the ball, 6 players in double digits tonight. Not a single player broke 20. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at the game film. We're going to take a look at all of that. Please hit like, subscribe on your way in. Really appreciate it. Hello to everybody. It's 12 o'clock. So someone said, I warned you guys when Davion is benched and IQ comes back, their point guards will explode for points. I mean, Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett had a really rough night tonight. If we're being completely frank, IQ just, defensively got cooked a lot of times, but RJ left a lot to be desired defensively as well. And, we got to talk about Jonathan Mogbo. Jonathan Mogbo is struggling right now, and it's not all bad, obviously, but it started out so promising and it has tailed off a little bit. I'm sure he'll be fine. There's some very, very promising stats that we can look at with Jonathan Mogbo. So we'll take a look at the game. We'll look at the game film, and then we'll take your calls if there are any calls. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, as I said, the Raptors were right in this game. If you want to look at the game cast, the Raptors held pretty till about the third quarter, and then there was a play where Jakob Poeltl went up, looked like he was about to dunk on Anthony Davis. He hits him. Davis falls down to the ground into the fetal position. He's out. He had tears in his eyes and he's rolling off the court. And you're thinking to yourself, if you're the Raptors, like, man, this is our opportunity, right? Anthony Davis has been playing like a league MVP. Anthony Davis is awesome. Anthony Davis is their defense. And without him, they've struggled. They've struggled defensively without him. And he is by far their best defender. And so far this season, he's been their best offensive player, too. So you think, what a massive blow. And instead, it goes the other way, right? AD leaves right around there. And there's your lead, and it just builds and builds and builds. And that fourth quarter was a disaster. The Raptors got outscored 35-21 in the fourth quarter. They got outscored 35-27 in the third quarter. So, it was just a tale of two halves for this team. And, it's easy to say it's this player or that player. I think it was a team thing, man. The Lakers had 5 turnovers this game. I can't remember the last time I saw a team and they had 5 turnovers. It was just beautiful offensive execution. Austin Reeves was incredible. 27 points to lead all scorers. He was really good for them. And let's take a look at just the base box score here. So again, as I mentioned, the Raptors had 6 players in double digits, including Chris Boucher, who gave them a big spark off the bench. Defensively, a little bit of a different story, but offensively, he made a couple of really good dimes. Chris Boucher with 3 assists. Chris Boucher playing a very complete game. He had a really good pass. He had a couple of really good passes where I'm like, oh, damn, good stuff. 18 points in 20 minutes. Don't take it for granted, right? Ties RJ Barrett. So the Raptors are led by their 2 Canadians. RJ Barrett goes 5 for 15 from the field. He had 4 turnovers again. He was a team worst, -24. 5 for 15 overall, 18 points. Got cooked a lot defensively, a lot of miscommunications. Okay. All right. I mean, this is it's just life without Scotty, I guess. Probably a little bit worse of a performance was Immanuel Quickley, who tried to turn the gears a little bit in the fourth quarter. He did get himself into double digits, but 4 for 15 tonight. So RJ and Immanuel Quickley combined 9 for 30 and 2 for 11 from 3. You need much more from them. RJ, to his credit, he did get to the line. He got downhill. He was really good in the first half, but man, it almost felt like tonight the Raptors went as RJ went, right? And he made a couple of really good reads out of the pick and roll with Yak. So interesting. Ochai Abaji, another damn near perfect game, right? How do you take 7 shots and end up with 16 points and you're on the losing team? He's really good. He's really good. I don't know what else to tell you, man. 16 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist for Ochai with a block. I thought he was just really commendable. Grady had some really interesting moments as well, including 2 threes to start the third quarter. He literally scored all of his threes in the first 50 seconds of the third quarter. He only took 3. I don't know why Grady Dick is taking less shots. I really don't. I don't know why he's taking less shots than Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett and Jakob Poeltl and per minute than Chris Boucher. I really don't. I really enjoyed the fact that the last time we faced the Lakers, he took 26 shots and it worked. He had 31 points. I don't understand why this is going backwards. It's interesting, right? Like on a team that's so young, everyone's technically young, right? Like you're not going to differentiate between a 20-year-old and a rookie like Jonathan Mogbo versus a 24-year-old and 25-year-old like Immanuel Quickley. But you do want to see a little bit more run for Grady because he earned it. Like he's earned it for sure. He makes really good decisions with the basketball. On the Lakers side, you get LeBron James with his first back-to-back triple-double since 2021, 19 points, 16 assists, 10 rebounds. And when the Lakers went away from Anthony Davis because he had to leave the game, it was a completely different game. The DNA of the game changed, and it went right back to LeBron and the Cavs, man. He's just getting into the paint. The Raptors are sending two to the basketball, and he is just shredding them. And it didn't matter who he found, right? He found Austin Reeves, he found Gabe Vincent, he found everybody. He definitely found D'Angelo Russell. They got a big boost off their bench. Dalton Connect had a couple. He had one big three in the corner where the Raptors just lose him in transition, and you know yeah, it's just the Lakers have weapons and the Raptors have weapons, but the Lakers had a better engine, and I think that's pretty much where you would end that thought. Okay, let's just move on and let's look at some of the game film. It's not going to be as detailed a game film because I pretty much stopped around I want to say middle of the third quarter when this game, and I mean, like, when you saw the momentum shift and you saw the body language on the Raptors side, you just felt like this was a team that is just dying to go home, right? They kinda just I don't wanna say they lost faith in what they were doing, but there just wasn't that fight that we've become accustomed to, and you know what? Nights like this are gonna happen. If you're playing basketball, nights like this are going to happen, but let's take a look. There are some interesting plays. So, gosh, here's one. So this was very early in the game. Grady Dick almost dunked on LeBron James. I mean, it's partially because LeBron James kind of got out of the way, but let's just check this out here. But a little bit, just a little bit, not high enough, unfortunately. This was a very ugly turnover from Davion Mitchell. Just kind of gets trapped a little bit, tries to go against Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent's not a bad defender at all. He is terrible at everything else, but he's not a bad defender. So you're not going to be able to pull this stuff off on him. And he commits a turnover. This was a nice move by Bruno Fernando. Not his only nice move of the night, but he bumps into Jackson Hayes, gives him a little up fake, and then turn around. We have a new name for Bruno Fernando. It's Bruno Hakeem Fernando. All right. Okay. And yeah, I mean, this was a really cool play by kudos to the TSN staff for adding the graphics so that we can see, RJ Barrett setting a screen, not really setting a screen, but here comes, Grady Dick kind of losing his man, but being aware that Dalton Connect just flies off. Is that Reeves or Dalton Connect? I think that's Reeves, my bad. And yeah, just being aware that, like, knowing how to manipulate the defense this way is really cool. Like you usually see like stars doing this. Like you see James Harden, he's aware of the help defender and the weak side shot blocker, and like he's just aware of everybody, and he's kind of like dancing with them. And that's what you usually don't see from a player like Grady. And quite a few times you're seeing him boop one, and then knowing and getting this off on Anthony Davis. That's just really just a cool play by him. And there's another one from Grady. And again, it's just, again, it's all between the ears with Grady Dick, right? And it's almost like I just get happy every time Grady and Ochai pass to each other because they just have such a natural synergy with each other. And you really do get bummed out when you realize that when Scotty comes back, one of these guys is going to the bench because that's a big loss. And that sucks because I don't think either one of them deserves to go to the bench, to be honest. Now, look at this play. This was very underrated. Broadcasters are not going to call this, but look at Ochai's defense on this play. First of all, sliding into position, knowing Immanuel Quickley is beat by Rui Hachimura, the bigger defender, just bothering this enough till Jakob Poeltl can come over and help. But the most underrated part of this is what he does next. Watch this. So here's Anthony Davis. Jakob Poeltl can't hold on to it. And here's Ochai with that beautiful swipe down on the basketball. Love it, man. Like, that's absolutely awesome. Like, you need what did I say? He can guard at the paint, and this is one of the biggest reasons he can guard at the paint. He understands position. He's always gonna get down in position. He has crazy wingspan, and he has really good hands. I mean, again, this is back to back to back to back. I don't think I've said a bad thing about Ochai all year, and I don't think I'm going to. He has just been awesome. Again, one decision, two decision, don't foul, three decision, getting back into the play, and then just tipping this away. The referee's right there. You're not getting away with a foul. If you go down on the forearm, if you make any grand gestures and AD flops, you're picking up a foul, and he's going to the line. So risky, but trusting himself. Someone said that, hey, you're gonna make a bad you're gonna call out Davion's bad plays. Why don't you call out his good plays too? Here's a good play by Davion Mitchell, a little bit of a manipulation dribble there, and then over to Chris Boucher for the three. And two of the most frustrating players for me to watch connect on a three-pointer that was much needed at that time. Now here, the Toronto Raptors up by 6. Look at this play, Ochai Agbaji. Can I be president of the Ochai Agbaji fan club? Is that a real thing? Does it pay? I would do it. He has been awesome, man. Like, just he's so good. He's been so good. He's such a good role player, man. All right. This was a crazy sequence. Like, okay, congratulations. You can't make a shot to save your life. Grady Dick, once again, touching the backboard. Jakob Poeltl trying to get it up. Maybe Cam Reddish gets it from behind. Jakob Poeltl, second effort, boom, tips it out. RJ Barrett, he's going to take a three. One of 6 tonight. This would not be one of those. And look at Chris Boucher flying in to get this ball and keep it alive. And then once again, now RJ is going to go. Nice little pass to Jakob Poeltl, and Jakob Poeltl drops it out of bounds. I mean, it gets tipped out, but nevertheless, like, awesome hustle. And this is a large part of why the Raptors were even in this game, to be honest. Like yesterday, you saw this as well, like the effort, the motor, and all that stuff. This was a really, really like backbreaking way to end the half. The Toronto Raptors were up by 7, and then there was another shot, and then there was this 3, and suddenly you're up by 2 going into halftime. And you just felt like the Lakers had the momentum, and I would have forgiven it if the Raptors had come out of halftime in a bit of a slump, like almost like, okay, we tried, it's not working. We had a lead, and then they come out of the halftime tunnel perfect, and it's back to back threes from Grady Dick. Boom, that's one of them, and that was the second. And then it resulted in Immanual Quickley 3. If y'all remember, give me a W if you remember when Scotty Barnes in his rookie season went up for a loose ball with LeBron James. He falls out, and as he falls down, LeBron kind of whips it off of him, and Scotty looks at him. Well, apparently, LeBron James has no problem whipping the ball off of Raptors, man. LeBronto lives rent free in my head. Okay. It's not a dirty play. It is what it is, but like, damn, Now, this is a massive miscommunication. This was an out of bounds play where LeBron just finds Anthony Davis, and I don't know who told people Anthony Davis can't shoot threes. He's shot north of 30% for his career. He's not a great three-point shooter, but if you give him this much space, and really, if you break it down, this is just a miscommunication. So here you'll see Immanual Quickley trying to get around the screen, the AD screen. Yak switches. IQ probably needs to stay home on Anthony Davis once Yak switches, but boom. Like, when they have 4 players on the court and you have 5 players on the court and you lose a three-point shooter by 15 feet, you have massively miscommunicated that defensive play, because LeBron's not in this game right now, right? LeBron James is inbounding the basketball. So this should never, ever happen. And here's another one. So this is really just, again, Grady to Ochai, Ochai to Grady. It's usually a great shot. So here, We're going to see Jakob Poeltl take it away from Anthony Davis, gets it up to Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell smart, pitch ahead to Grady Dick, a little bit strong, so Grady mishandles it, regathers it, and rejects the Jakob Poeltl pass and finds Ochai Agbaji wide open, and LeBron James does not get back, and that is a nice open three for Ochai Agbaji. You know, we talked about RJ Barrett and Grady Dick getting on people's scouting reports. I want to tell you something. I think Ochai Agbaji is going to get on people's scouting reports. Here's the play that took Anthony Davis out. Yikes. It's not dirty, but let's be honest, if somebody did this to Scotty, if Jokic had done this to Scotty, I think a lot of us would be upset. So I'll just respect them. I'm going to move off that play, which was the Austin Reeves play, which has music on it. Actually, we can show it. They were going nuts. Everyone was going nuts on this play. I don't know if this play got taken down. Did it get taken? Okay. Yeah, this was crazy. And I mean, like, this is the kind of stuff that really just pushes momentum into the home team's hands. Like, he spins off of Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell goes for the reach. Ochai Agbaji tags him, and then boom, leads to an opening. Jakob Poeltl doesn't recover. So nice little highlight package for Austin Reeves there. Really nice play. He had a little bit of pizzazz to his game. Here's Dalton Connect. And again, this was a play caused largely by Chris Boucher falling out of bounds on the other end. He doesn't recover. You're going 5-on-4, and you're going to send both RJ Barrett and Davion Mitchell to the to the basketball, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that's RJ and Davion. Sorry to say, neither one of you are big enough or long enough or tall enough to bother this pass from LeBron James, and he's going to find the corner shooter just like Scotty would in this situation, right? So it's not just one shooter that was open. It was two shooters that was open, because if Bruno Fernando had recovered, I think that's Bruno Fernando, right? Yeah. If Bruno Fernando had managed to recover, that's an open three for Gabe Vincent. So it's just like bad defensive communication, bad defense, transition defense, literally both nights, bad transition defense. I mentioned Chris Boucher with a little bit of passing. Well, this is a nice Chris Boucher pass. And this was the second one where I was like, oh, that's like a dime, you know? Good pass, good cut from Immanual Quickley, good finish. And, you know, really nice play from Chris Boucher. You need to see more of that. And this is, I think, so there wasn't a lot of communication in terms of what Chris Boucher got called for a flop, but my estimation, I think this is what was called a flop. Is this a flop? I don't know. I see players do this shit all the time. When I saw it, yeah, my first thought was nice try. Nice try, Chris. Okay. So we pointed out the Jakob Poeltl play on Anthony Davis. Well, about a quarter and a half later, a little bit of a scary moment for LeBron James. He's going up for this layup. Nice contest by Ochai Agbaji, and Jakob Poeltl gets him with the elbow to the face. So both your stars kind of get knocked out by the same player. And that was the last thing that I looked at, because honestly, it was a shit show after that. So once LeBron went down, you're like, okay, comes back, and that's it. Okay, we don't have any callers. So we got 200 people in here. No callers, no callers. All right, cool. I was actually going to get my friend to come on and talk about this game with me, because he covers the Lakers, but I was just like, you know what? I don't feel like it. Like, this game was disappointing. You know, you want the Raptors to be able to hold on. You do, right? You want them to be able to hold on. Jigsaw Puzzle saying, "Oh, that guy." No, another guy. At least we're entertaining with Barnes. Well, I mean, the Toronto Raptors after this game moved to 2-8, which means they and the Milwaukee Bucks are at the bottom of the East right now, with the 14th and 15th spot after Philly won on a huge game from Jared McCain. Okay, so now on Tuesday, you will be facing off against the Bucks. 2-9? Are we 2-9? My bad. Wait, are we? Okay, my bad. 2-9. I was projecting forward. How are we 0.5 behind? Okay, I got to look at the standings again. One sec. NBA standings East. Okay, hang on one sec. The Raptors are 2-9. The Bucks are 2-8. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, it's the two win teams. Technically, if you only count losses, the Toronto Raptors are. Let me just double check this before I say this. The Toronto Raptors are the only team in the NBA that has lost 9 games. Actually, I will prove it to you. Hang on. So this is the Western Conference standings. See right at the top, the Warriors at the top, the Suns at the top. Will that stay that way? We'll see. And right here, you have the Utah Jazz at the bottom with 2-7, right? But we only count losses for the purpose of tanking. And the Toronto Raptors are disastrous and winless on this road trip. And there you are, 2-9, 18%. You are technically the worst team in the league right now. Per win percentage, we're the worst team in the league, right? Yep, we're the worst team in the league because the other competing offer is 2-7, the 2-7 Jazz. So everybody else has won at least 3 games, with the exception of us, the Jazz, and the Bucks. So that tie will break on Tuesday. So the Raptors could move into sole possession. I mean, they are technically in sole possession of that. And I think all the tanking talk is going to get a lot louder. I gotta be honest. Like I think the tanking talk is going to get a lot louder. Uh, there was some positive news for if you want to call it that, positive news for Jonathan Mogbo. We looked at we do have a caller. That's cool. We'll do one call before we get out of here. If you want to look at the positive news for Jonathan Mogbo, like okay, it hasn't gone super well lately. Let's just be real about that. It's been shorter stints. It hasn't been as much activity. It hasn't been nearly as active. And I guess, I mean, you could say I haven't really loved his energy, focus. Sometimes his body language has been a little bit frustrated, right? Thomas TR1, honest question. How did Scotty get to the NBA with such a poor handle? I don't get it. Well, Scotty does a lot of other things other than handle a basketball, but I don't think his handle is nearly as bad as you think it is. Anyways, I yeah, so speaking of Jonathan Mobo, he leads the entire rookie class. Like he leads his entire rookie class in defensive field goal percentage, which is pretty cool, right? Number 2 is Ryan Dunn, and it's like 32.9%, right? So 32.9% means that when an offensive player goes up against Jonathan Mobo, it's more than 2 out of 3 times they're going to miss the shot, which is insane. I think he has like a great deal of upside, but right now he just needs to find himself. This can get very frustrating very quickly. The first 12, 13 games in succession, back to backs, super practices, right? New city, new league. Hopefully, Jonathan Mobile finds a second win because they desperately need him. He has been their best defensive player. Now, we talked yesterday a lot at length with Layne about accountability. We talked about accountability, how Darko Rajakovic is probably going to reward Bruno Fernando with more minutes today because he played well last night, and that's exactly what happened. We saw that. Well, I got to say, I don't know how comfortable I am with how little Jonathan Mobile is playing right now. I understand the space and concerns. I understand all of that. I understand he's even not like succeeding very well in terms of like his focus and energy, and I don't find he's been as active as a help defender. I don't know, but I think that he deserves a little bit more patience and a little bit more time from the coaching staff just because of what he could present. Now, obviously, as the Raptors get healthier, someone's going to get bounced out of the rotation. I had initially assumed that was going to be Davion Mitchell, but seeing Davion in lineups with Immanuel Quickley, seeing Davion continue to get 20 minutes off the bench every single night makes me think, okay, this is like Malachi Flynn all over again. This is just going to be a player that Darko just sees something in that I don't see anything in, right? And we're going to see because, I don't think that Darko was right to play Malachi as many minutes as they did. I don't think it did anything of any real consequence to his trade value, but he did get traded. So who the hell am I to say? Maybe the fact that he was playing boosted his trade value for the Knicks. The Knicks were like, oh, yeah, that's the deal breaker for us. Malachi Flynn, that's what's up. I don't think that happened. And then, of course, you do have the the elephant in the room, which is like who's going to be out of the rotation, who's going to be in the rotation, and I just don't want to see Jonathan Mogul fall out of the rotation because he's a bit of a clunky fit because of his shooting. Because I do think if we're talking about the future value, and if you're going to be losing these games, I'd rather see Jonathan Mogul get 15 to 20 minutes every single night consistently just to see what he can do, right? And more likely than not, I'd like to see him probably go down to the G League as well. That's not a slight on Jonathan. I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Mobo, but this is going to be a long process with some of these rookies, right? It is going to be a long process. Mel is saying Mobo can't score. Well, he scored tonight. I mean, he needs to adjust to the angles. He's an undersized big, right? Like we understand that, but I would like to see that. Immanuel Quickley, the feet don't look set. The feet just don't look super set on some of those shots, right? He's rushing a lot of things. He might be pressing a little bit. RJ Barrett is definitely pressing. They're both pressing a lot. So I don't know. Anyways, let's talk to Lil Jon. Lil Jon, what's going on?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
Do you think Darko has the guts to bench RJ like instead of Ochai when Scotty comes back? Because that's what I want to see.
No, I don't.
Would you want to see that? Because I think that would be a really nice lineup. A lot of shooting, a lot of movement, a lot of quick reads. It would feature Grady. IQ could kind of like settle in because I feel like with RJ, Scotty, IQ, and now Grady, like someone is gonna have to kind of like take a back seat, and of course, none of us want that to be Grady or Scotty, and I would prefer it not to be IQ. So, like, I feel like that lineup would really, really like empower IQ as well. So, like, I want to see that lineup because I've had enough with RJ.
What do you mean you've had enough of RJ?
So I've never been a fan of his. Um, like, I'm like never been a fan all the way back from Duke. Um,
Okay.
I just I'm not a fan of what he brings to the table. Like again, he's in his sixth year now, and yes, I've seen some improvements with his decision making, and listen, he does score the ball at a really impressive level at times.
Mhm.
However, I just do not believe like on a high level team that he's going to be anything but like a bench piece. That's kind of like where his career is trending. And I feel like the Raptors should get out ahead and look to make a move.
I mean,
Because I feel like we all know it's coming, but, and again, I'm not saying it should happen right now, but I would love to see them like, because Ochai is playing so well. And Grady just got completely ignored tonight. And I don't know if you looked at, like, I look at body language a lot. Like, I don't know if you were looking at Grady in that fourth quarter, but like when others were taking shots, he was like he had his head down, and like I don't want to see guys like lose shot attempts to RJ because RJ it's like yeah he'll get his numbers and but it's not you're not going anywhere with him as a key part of your team and
okay. So what's the upside of a roster that has Ochai, Grady, IQ, Scotty, and Yak starting? Is that a playoff team?
no.
Okay. So that's the point. You
But
you
the
you do
but the
need that.
inverse isn't it? It's not with it wouldn't be
Oh,
with
sure.
RJ
It,
either.
it's like either one doesn't work. And you know what? If you could give uh Ochai's current shooting and defense to RJ Barrett, boom, you're a playoff team, right?
Yeah,
Very
sure.
easily. The defense is what concerns me. The defense is why initially when we started out the season, because I understand the politics, and you're not going to bench RJ Barrett. And to answer your question, do I want to see it happen? I don't really think I'm gonna push for it at all. Like last year, I pushed for a lineup change with Dennis Schroeder when all also it was very obvious that it just wasn't working. But now I just don't think I would push for this because I know it's not going to happen. Like
Mm,
it's just not going to happen. If what could happen is he could be on the bench for some closing minutes. But I just think that from the marketing perspective, with how little the Raptors feel like they actually have to market, benching the hometown kid right now when he, is struggling a little bit, I don't know what that does for his confidence. I don't know what that does for your relationship with him. I don't know what that does for his defensive buy-in. It's always like a weird thing when you get benched as a player because now if you start succeeding, now they see you as a sixth man. So more likely than not, you're just going to suck even more until the starter that took your position sucks enough for them to flip it back. And then you're going to probably do well. RJ Barrett's never come off the bench in his entire life. Not for a second. Not for the Knicks. I don't think he came off the bench for the Knicks. He didn't come off the bench for the Raptors. When he came here, he started right away. And that's going to be a really, really tough conversation to have if they ever do have it, though.
I mean, I'm not adamant that it needs to happen, but it's also like, I don't know if you heard, I don't know where I heard this from, but I think I definitely heard this, that he said he wanted to be an all-star. I don't know this year, but like in the future. And when you have those aspirations, and we can all agree outside looking in that he is far from that, like that's kind of where things get like, sticky, because it's like there's such a big gap between what you believe you are and what you are currently, and like that can change.
Sure.
Like,
But that's not what he was talking about this season. Like this season, he was talking about all NBA. All defense. So he was talking about doing like the little things. He
did
was
you hear
talking
that, or am I making that up? Because I think I've heard
all
him say,
star
"I want to be an all-star."
this year.
Yeah, I think I heard that to start this
I
year.
don't
I don't know
remember
if it was
that.
a Kayla Gray interview.
I don't remember that, and that's probably because I didn't watch the Kayla Gray interview. But if he wants to be an all-star, I mean, shoot, whatever, right? This was the same thing we went through with Pascal Siakam last year. I want to be a top 5 player in the NBA, and I'm like, cool, you're not. That's not who you are. That's not who you're ever going to be. Let's move on. Like
But it's
I unfortunately gave that way too much oxygen, and I'm not going to give this too much oxygen because it's like whatever. Like he is a 5-star recruit who was considered the best high school player in his class. He was Gatorade National Player of the Year. I would be very shocked if he didn't want to be an all-star. Sure, he wants to be an all-star. The physics of it, of course, make it harder. And tonight, when he went up against Cam Reddish, clamps, right? And Cam's another guy who was a super super highly recruited guy, and he was a really highly touted lottery pick, but he found a role as a defender, right? Cam
yeah,
Reddish has found a role as a defender,
but
and
that's what I'm kind of hinting at. Like, it's not that like, yes, you should aim for the moon, and then you can like land around amongst the stars, as the saying goes. But like, if it's not where like his belief in himself is. It's more so like, I want him to like lower, like not lower his expectations, but like less FGAs, like get the be like have the ball out of your hands quicker, like play like a really high level role player. Like, I don't know if you heard D'Angelo Russell say he wants to be like Derek White. I think he said that last year. He might have been
bro,
trolling,
he can
but like,
say he wants to be like Derek
yeah,
White. He ain't Derek White.
he's not Derek White, of course, but I want him to have like a mindset of like, I'm gonna be a defender. I'm gonna like really work on my shooting.
That's not
I'm
his
gonna.
body. Like you see him move, he
It's
can't
I know it.
guard. I mean, he bought into. He has some deflections today. He had a nice little deflection. I mean, he's
And then
trying. It's not like
he
he's not
got blown
trying
by and
defensively.
backdoor cut like multiple times today.
Yes, he did.
All
But
right,
so did Davion.
sure, but again, he's also putting a lot of pressure on the ball, and like he's at least bringing some positive stuff. I will close on the RJ point. Do you think he's on the roster past the deadline?
Yes.
Oh, you're really certain about that?
Yes.
What about this summer?
Different question. Yeah, this summer they could probably explore those talks. I think it takes two to tango. I don't think what he does at that price is all that appetizing to another team. There isn't like a huge market for him. Again, when you look at him and you look at OG Anunoby on a normal day, you look at a Dyson Daniels, right? You see Dyson Daniels lately?
Yeah.
He's
Oh my
averaging
God. Like,
5.6 steals per game over the last 3 games.
I know it's like
5.6. Like he has 17 steals in 3 games. Or is it
yeah, I know.
5.8? 5.8 steals? Oh my god. Like this guy is just going nuts. Okay, 8 steals in one night, says Jigsaw Puzzle. I mean, here's the problem. Teams have plenty of guys who want to take
Yeah,
shots,
go
that
ahead.
they would rather give shots to, that can do other things. And again, we've highlighted RJ's playmaking, but playmaking requires the ball. We've highlighted RJ's increased shot selection, better shooting. He's been on a real cold streak during this road trip, but he started out the season really hot. He was pretty good for Canada this summer. He's just going through a slump, man. Like you can't like the player that we saw last year for Toronto, the player we saw this year for Team Canada is still there. He's just going through a slump. He's just in a slump. And when a guy who, let's just say, a guy who doesn't defend very well, isn't an overly great rebounder, isn't a great off-ball player, just is really having a cold streak, they look like the worst player on earth. It's the same thing with Jamal Murray, right? Jamal Murray's strengths and weaknesses are very similar to, well, I mean, they're very different types of players, but if you look at Jamal Murray, he's not a good defender anymore. He's not a great rebounder. He's okay. He's a pretty good playmaker, pretty good, reasonable, and he's a really good scorer when he's on. But when he's off, it's Brick City. It's 4 for 22. It's 5 for 7. 5 for 25, and people want him gone, right? So yeah, like you got to live with this with scores, and I just think everything is hard for the Raptors right now because they don't have a real star on the court, right? So when Scotty comes back again, what you'll see from RJ, I think, will be cleaner, easier shots, right? Maybe better
I,
shots in transition. Like Immanuel Quickley is still like developing as a point guard. Like his playmaking is not, it doesn't stand out to me at all. Right.
no, we can get to now. I'm not. It's early, first two games. Scotty's not there, coming back from an injury. I'm not impressed with what I'm seeing as far as like getting into the paint, like touching,
From IQ.
like I'm seeing Jamal Shed touch the paint, like you know what I mean, like hard, and then like again he's not quickly, but like I'm seeing Jamal Shed touch the paint hard, kicking out. Like I don't know, I'm not impressed. But again,
We've got three like rather incomplete point guards, right?
yeah,
So
they're
Jamal
all
Shed,
missing big parts. They're all
sure.
missing
I mean, I
parts.
mean, Jamal Shed, he's missing the jumper. He's missing some of the finishing and the angles at the rim. He's missing the size and the wingspan, right? Because he's probably the smallest of the three if you look at them physically.
Hmm.
But he gets to the paint,
Really
and
well,
he can run a team pretty well,
really
right?
well. Yeah,
Then you
I
look at
love that kid.
Davion, and he's missing like I don't know everything offensively. Like
He's
he can
missing
shoot.
probably the most, to be honest.
Yes, he is. And he's got this one thing that he does is super great, which is, pressure, point of attack, motor, but, gets cut back door all the time, gets switched onto, gets screened off of guys all the time. And then you got Emmanuel Quickley, who's, I think, maybe even a less natural point guard and the best scorer of the bunch, just a much more dynamic scorer. Yeah, he missed a bunch today, but they weren't like bad misses. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like they were bad shots necessarily. He pressed a little bit because he was trying to get the team into the game. I just think he needs to get back into rhythm. When he gets back into rhythm, he's going to be fine. When the spacing is better, he's going to be fine. I think Jakob being on the court, Chris Boucher, like there's just I don't know, man. You look at this roster and you're like, man, Chris Boucher, even when he plays well, it's complicated. Relationship with
I'm not a
observing
Chris
Chris Boucher.
Boucher fan. I'm not a Chris Boucher fan at all. Like I know he played well tonight. Just the decision making, him taking it in transition. Grady's right next to him.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Um,
No, I hear you. Anyways, any final thoughts?
no final thoughts. I will say I would like to come on one day and like talk about potential RJ Barrett trades because I'm definitely here for that.
I think it's just okay. So here's the thing,
I
and
would
and
love to do
I
that.
under I hear you, and I understand that. I just think that it's really hard um, when you're struggling. Like I'm trying to be empathetic to this. He's
Oh,
struggling. He's missing shots that he was making earlier in the year. There's pull-up threes he's making, transition threes, catch and shoot threes that he was making earlier. And if he's making them right now, I think people will be feeling really differently about his performances, right? So I just want to trust this is a small process. I mean, he's been really good for the Raptors. Like overall, I'm gonna say like relative to the player he was in New York, he's been much better. So I want to give RJ a little bit of time before we make like hard sweeping, judgments about him, or start pushing him to trades. And the reason that I don't even want to do this trade stuff is because I don't think there's a huge market for him. That's why. Because right now, I would dare you to, I'm going to go to the next caller. If you want to hang around after and come back, give me 5 teams, or just go in the chat and give me 5 teams that you really think would trade anything of value for him.
Okay, so I'm ready for this because, like, as you can see, I'm very serious about this. I already did some of the research, so I will say I agree with what you just said. The market is not big at all. That being said, you're not gonna like this. So I looked at
Denver,
I don't know. I looked at the Chicago Bulls, and I'm like,
Zach LaVine.
no, even worse. Patrick Williams plus Io DeSumo and potentially maybe a pick, but that might even be dicey. But I'm like, all right, turn that $28 million contract, 27 to a $18 million Patrick Williams contract plus DeSumo for RJ Barrett. Would you do it?
I hate Patrick Williams.
I hate him. I hate him as well. But to be honest, looking at what they're doing with Ochai, I don't know. Patrick Williams, like he can shoot the ball already pretty solidly. Can he defend? Like change the scenery? I don't know. And then Io's really good. Like Io could play like take Davion's spot in a heartbeat. So
Yeah, I have no idea if they would say yes, but I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
if I
I'm
was
not sure they
Chicago,
would say yes either.
yeah, you're right. But so I didn't look at it like anything more than that. Like against San Antonio, I don't know. I'd rather have Desell, keep him away from Desell and Wemby. Utah,
Vassell.
Desell, yeah, Utah again. They're already tanking,
Devin
so
Vassell is worth more than RJ Barrett, I would estimate.
absolutely. No, I didn't mean them trading for just trading for Vassell. I meant like I would like to have Vassell and Wemby with the ball in their hands. So to be honest, the market is not that big. So
So literally, your entire research led you to Chicago Bulls.
honestly, yeah, I was like, huh, Patrick Williams and Aya DeSumo in a pick.
I think if I could think of a team, it would probably be the Denver Nuggets.
I don't know if
Weirdly
they.
enough, I think they would probably see some value in it, but I mean, just to elevate some of the offense. When, yeah, I don't know, but I don't know what they would trade for him.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so maybe Portland. Osufane saying best you're getting for RJ
yeah.
is Jeremy
I
Grant.
thought about Jeremy Grant as well, but I don't know. That contract's really big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, RJ is low risk, high reward, right? I mean, yeah. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Peace. Uh, Stevo, what's going on?
Sorry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry for being a little slow, but it's one game. I think the rest of the season we put up pretty good point numbers. Like we lost by a few points here and there, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's it. You got to lose to win, right? You got to figure out how to lose, and you got to figure out how to win. So I think it's with the Raptors. I think like Grady Dick has been phenomenal. RJ Barrett's been phenomenal. I think Quickley has been phenomenal, right? But we haven't been able to put these guys on the floor at the same time, and it's just.
Is there
I
something going
think
on with your? Is there something going wrong with your mic, or is that just me hearing it kind of muffled?
sorry, I'm on my phone, so it might be a little muffled, but yeah. Yeah.
Jigsaw Puzzle saying his mic. Okay, yeah. So, so your basic point is that it's just too soon to judge.
Yeah, well, I think like Ochai, like nobody expected anything out of Ochai, right? This
I mean,
kid
they
is
must have
making.
expected something from him because they traded a first round pick for him.
Well, as a Raptors fan, obviously, as trading a first round pick for him, he was a first round pick, right? But I'm just saying, like, nobody thought Ochai this year was going to hit what 40, 44% from threes.
Right.
Like that is, and I'm looking at him guard LeBron James. Like,
How did that
he's
go?
not very well, but but having said that, at least he was trying, right? And I'm going. These
It's like
guys, like,
did you print a participation trophy?
did I do? Did I print?
Did you print a participation trophy? Like, I
I
understand what you're
actually
saying.
don't. I don't agree with participation trophies. Actually, I think
Good.
it's like you win or you lose. But
Perfect.
no.
Okay, so I mean, I understand fans being frustrated with RJ's performance, with IQ's performance. I understand your point also. Like, it's really soon to judge, and the development staff has, over a broader period of time, right? They have shown how much better they have made these players. It's almost like, people have a really limited scope on everything in their lives, man. They have a limited scope on a lot of stuff. Like, people have an instant gratification high. So when RJ Barrett's going well, they're comparing him to Luca. They're saying he's like better than Scotty. They're
Yeah.
amazing. Now they're saying he should come off the bench. So I think there's got to be a middle ground where you can judge RJ from a bird's eye view and say, okay, what's the last 2 years look like? It's almost like, when the stock of Tesla goes down by like 7% in one day, and you have people like panicking. They're like, what's happened? And you look at the last like 10 years, and you're like, oh, like, this might be one of the best companies in the world. So it's taking the bird's eye view of it. Fans, unfortunately, I think a lot of fans are very panicky by nature. They react to the day to day. We see the headlines every day. We see the box score in the games every day. Immanual Quickley is not as bad as he looked tonight. RJ Barrett is not as bad as he looked tonight. That's 100%. But unfortunately, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, but like Immanual Quickley, like RJ Barrett, they're both coming back from injuries. They're not.
RJ
This
Barrett's not
isn't
coming
their
back from
average
injury.
performance.
RJ Barrett's
What's that?
shoulder injury was like, I mean, he came back from it like 7 games ago. He's back. This is just who he is. You're just living with the ups and downs of RJ. Like, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses, right? It's not going to be all, 40% 3-point shooting. But it's the same thing with Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes currently shooting 18% from 3. Is he going to keep doing that? Hell no. Hell no. He's going to have a
Yeah.
stretch where he's going to shoot 40. He's going to have a stretch where, this is just the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of the season. There's a lot of players, that we're seeing thrive this year that were very questionable in years past. You brought up Ochai Agbaji. I'd bring up Jalen Suggs. I would also bring up Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels has been fantastic this year for the Hawks. And a couple of years ago, people were like, this guy can't score. He's just terrible. He's just one-dimensional player. And again, you just have to trust that the seed of talent that you see in these players is there, that it's real, and that you just need to nurture it. And, you hope that those players will take their career seriously enough to allow you to nurture it. And I love the observation by Jack Armstrong about Ochai Agbaji. Prior to the game, Ochai's working on his shooting, and he's very meticulous about it, right? And then what I love about Ochai and Grady is they remind me a little bit, not as players, but just in terms of their dynamic, of Dirk and Steve Nash in Dallas, where they're just together. And it's weird because their connection goes back way, way, right? I don't know if you ever saw this, but do you know that when Grady came to Kansas, there was a message in his room from Ochai Agbaji? Did you see that?
Actually, I do know. I did know there was a connection. I
Mhm.
didn't know. I heard something. I didn't know it was a letter, but it was something. It
Yeah,
was
so
after
he'd left
Obaji
it.
left, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he'd
yeah,
left it in the same dorm room, and he basically
yeah,
left it for the next player who came in, and that player
yeah.
just happened to be Grady Dick. So they both played in the same, in this for the same team 1 year apart. Grady literally replaced Ochai for a national championship team, the Kansas Jayhawks. And, this summer they spent a lot of time in Kansas. And I love that they've both come out so serious. Like, they have both come out better than anybody could have seen. And I just hope that they will continue to accelerate. But I kind of like hear what the previous caller was saying, where it's like, how do you bench one of these two guys when you are a 2-9 team heading for 2-10 almost certainly on Tuesday? How do you bench one of your two 3 best players. You know what I mean? Like Ochai, in my estimation right now, has been one of the 3 best players for the Raptors. Grady has also been one of the 3 best players for the Raptors. How do you bench one of these 2 guys? Like,
I agree. I agree. Like, what do you do? Put Poeltl on the bench and then go like a smaller lineup? Like, no, that's how you finish off a game, right? So I don't think we got to look at how much we have to bench a guy in the sense that we need all our guys on the floor to figure out what we have, right? Like we could go with the smaller lineup to finish the game. Like Obaji, like I looked at him originally and I'm like, he must be a power forward, right? He must be, by his physical build, he must be a power forward. And then all of a sudden I like do a little bit of research on him. I'm like, what, he was a shooter back in like college? And now it's finally like you need to shoot. You need to learn how to miss. You need to learn how to make it. Like you know what I mean? Like you need to learn how to, like, when a shot feels good and when it doesn't, right? And that's like Ochai is like one of those players. And I just don't feel like this loss tonight. I'm sorry, but I'm so happy that every game we played up until tonight. Well, sorry, there's been a few games, maybe 2,
I
where
mean, it
I
was
just don't think
Cleveland.
the Raptors, when the Raptors played, you know what I mean?
Well, I
Like the
mean, in
Raptors,
fairness, like Cleveland blew out one of the best teams in the league by even more. I mean, they were up. I don't know if you saw this. Cleveland was up 84-42 at the half against the Golden State Warriors a few days ago. So they
yeah,
beat them. They beat the brakes off that team, and Golden State has been
Cle-
beating everybody. So
Cleveland is an amazing team. Honestly, Cleveland, I used to always say, like, set up 2 bigs that can defend the basket.
mhm.
They got, and then get guards, right? But they have a really good team. Mitchell is he's a leader. Like, he's a high volume shooter, but he's a leader for like that team. We don't. Scotty Barnes, I think, will grow into that, but like we have to understand, like Mitchell didn't always win. Ant-Man didn't always win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these players, like,
Would it shock you if I told you that Anthony Edwards is younger than Scotty Barnes?
not really. No,
He is.
Anthony
So yeah,
Anthony and Anthony Edwards is one of those players that's, well, there's a lot of players that are their ceiling is up to them. But having said that, Anthony Edwards, like, I don't know. He's Kyrie Irving on the on the Olympic team, right? Like, he's challenging Kobe Bryant to one-on-ones. That to me is like, Kyrie Irving is one of the most talented players in the NBA.
I stand corrected. Anthony Edwards. No, I don't stand corrected. Anthony Edwards is 4 days younger than Scotty Barnes. Anyways, I hear what you're saying. It's a long process. Any final thoughts?
Um, I don't like the outcome of this season. I think if we keep playing hard and keep like, it's only going to benefit us in the long run, right? So yes, we need to have players make mistakes. Yes, we have to have veterans make mistakes. But
Cool.
having said that, it's just, we got to learn how to win, right? So
Yeah.
once
All
we
right.
learn how to win,
Thanks a lot, Stevo. Peace.
I
Layne, what's going on, man?
OH.
What's going on?
Fill me in. I was watching Smile too, so I missed it. What happened?
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste 240 people's time, 230 people's time to recap a game for you that I literally recapped in the first 30 minutes. Lazy.
I watched the highlights. Ochai, it looks like he had another great game. Boucher looked efficient. I don't know how he looked off ball. Usually he gets lost. Yeah, it looks like more the same. Obviously, Quickley is gonna, he's not gonna come back 100%, right? And it's gonna be the same thing when Scotty comes back. He's not gonna come back 100%. People are gonna freak out. Like it is what it is. It is what it is. These are the lumps that you're gonna take this whole year. You're gonna take lumps like this whole year occasionally, right? And this is just taking your lumps because the fun part about this is gonna be
Mm-hmm.
next year when these guys are a year better, they're going to remember this and they are going to give it back to them 10 times harder. Right? Do you remember when in 2019 we won the championship, obviously, right? 2020 we were still a damn good team, and then Tampa happened. Do you remember teams would run up the score on us in Tampa because of what we had done to them the past like 4 to 5 years? We just terrorized these teams, and the guys that have been there forever, they were sick of it, and they took it out on the Raptors. Like they didn't care that Kawhi was gone. They didn't care that DeMar was gone. They didn't care we were a shell of our former selves. Like they took it out on us. So I expect these guys to kind of do the same thing next year, the year after that, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think dogs on this team, they're going to be able to do that. Like RJ's a dog, right? He's got that dog in him. Quickley's a dog. Scotty's obviously a dog, right? Like your lead guys are dogs. Like Grady's not going to be the first person to start. He's not going to fight somebody, right? But Grady's a dog. Like Grady, he does not back down from stuff. Um, yeah, no, it's just one of those things where you're going to take your lumps, and teams do that. It happens, man. It happens all over sports. All over sports. Everyone wants success to be an overnight thing. They want to snap their fingers, close their eyes, and wake up and, be a playoff team. And that's just not the way it is. So when this team is, and everyone's sitting there crying, saying, well, why are they running the score up? Why are the starters in a little bit longer than they should be? Just know this is exactly going to be why, because these guys remember what the Lakers are doing to them right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to disagree with on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, it's good. It's good. Like I said, like you said, you've played some competitive basketball, in your life, right? And I don't know what other sports you've played, and I mean, you're in a filmmaking industry. Yep,
Rugby, basketball,
yep,
tennis. That's the
yep.
only places I've ever been competitive.
Perfect. So you play competitive sports, and you've done competitive stuff your whole life. Like I don't know your life story, but I know you run a film festival. You have to be competitive for that. There's other film festivals out there, right? So being able you get your ass kicked. Like some guys are better than you. I'm sure when you first started your film festival, other film festivals were better. Guess who's still standing? Guess who remembered, right? Guess who got better? Right? Basketball. I'm sure you go to the rec some days, get your ass kicked, come back the next day, and come back the next week, come back the next month. Remember that, remember that, remember that. Then when you're finally better than that guy, guess what? You don't take it easy on him. It's just a mentality thing, right? It's a dog thing. I mean, I can tell you're a dog. That's why you're still doing this. If you weren't a dog, I mean, you would have gave up when the trolls started coming out. You know what I mean? So it's just a dog thing. And I know the Raptors have it in them. Professional athletes have it in them. But, I'm not discouraged at all. I am not discouraged at all by this.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And regarding the dogs and the trolls, and it's interesting. I've thought about this a lot, where this entire, like, okay, so I didn't realize how viral that Chris Bosh thing went. It went so viral. It's insane. There's another video that went viral in which I left Kobe off my top 10. I can't tell you how viral it went. On TikTok, I think it was like 2 million views. It really was insane, right? And I was just thinking about that, and I was like, every single person in this comment section, like half of them, 99% of them don't know me, but all they're saying is, this white guy doesn't know basketball. This dumbass, blah, blah, blah. Take his mic. He's so stupid. And I just think to myself that when I was, I want to say like 10 years old, 11 years old, and I walk into a class, I'd be petrified that one person out of the 30 kids in my class would say one thing half as mean as what these people are saying. But now it's like I could pretty much refresh a TikTok reel from Player's Choice where I'm saying something crazy like Chris Bosh is closer to Nick Claxton and all that stuff. I could probably refresh it and get an insult every 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes on 2 different platforms, 3 different platforms. Shit. And people are very relentless. And what I have, it used to bother me, and I used to go really back and forth with people in the comment section about it. But now I'm just, I guess I don't care. And that has that has been very, very liberating and very cool. You know, we can walk out through life and not care. So I don't know if it's because I'm a dog that I'm doing this. I think I was persistent largely because I have a passion for this,
Mhm.
and I persisted through the trolls because I learned not to give a shit what they said.
Exactly, 100%. And I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with, like, I mean, you probably know the name Mr. Beast, right? Like, huge YouTuber.
Yes.
Okay, so there was somebody that came out and was like, why don't you, why don't you go after people who make hate videos about you? Why don't you go out after the people who clip farm your videos and post them on TikTok and all that, and for engagement, because they make money off of you? He's like, well, because for every single person that does that, for every single person who clip farms me, every single person who makes a hate video off me, it just drives traffic to my channel. It drives traffic to my social medias, right? Because they're going to be like, oh man, what else is this guy going to do? What else is this guy going to say? Man, is this guy really as bad as everyone
Have
else?
have you been following the recent developments around Mr. Beast?
Yes, I have. This is like 8-9 months ago.
Okay,
This isn't too
but like
yeah.
3 weeks ago type of developments.
Is it about his one friend that
Dude,
the
it's about a lot. It's about a lot of things
I
that come out about him,
I'm
and it's
stuff,
tough.
man. I'm missing.
Yeah, Jimmy's in some trouble. And I'm gonna tell you, my only beef with Mr. Beast, other than all the controversy that's been going around, that I saw a chocolate bar, like a Mr. Beast chocolate bar, for like $5 or $6, $5. It was crazy. I was just like, you know what? Fuck you. I here's the thing. Yeah, this is deviating away from basketball, but I'll sidebar for a minute. I just don't trust people who are so committed to proving how good a person they are.
No, for sure. But
He's
what
always
I'm
giving people money. He's always like generous. He's always trying to give homeless people money. We, you know what? Like I've done a lot for homeless people. Guess what? Didn't broadcast it on TikTok. Didn't broadcast it on YouTube. I don't need to put a camera in people's faces. I remember we used to run a charity called Warming the Streets every winter in Canada. It was a great initiative, and I started it because my mother believed in helping homeless people. And so what we would do is every single summer, sorry, every winter around early December, we would get together and we would pull together clothes and donations and gift cards, and then we would all walk hand to hand, like not hand to hand, sorry. Well, when I say hand to hand, I mean like we would be walking in pairs down the streets of Toronto. We would literally sweep Toronto, and we go down the street, and any person who needed anything, we gave it to them, and it was wrapped, like the gifts were wrapped. So it was like very personal. It wasn't just dropping something off at a shelter. It wasn't just writing a check. And my one big rule was no phones. Like we're not broadcasting this. And it wasn't until there was one guy who said, "Can you record me? I want to do some poetry," that we actually recorded it. But that was the only thing we ever recorded. Yeah, I just don't think like you need to broadcast your generosity like this
no, no, no,
personally.
not at all. I think my point, I hate to deviate for basketball, away from basketball. I think my point is like, all the haters that want to say stuff, right? All the people who want to clip farm the stuff that you're saying, and show D Wade and then D Wade say stuff. How many people do you think have seen that and be like, damn, what's that white guy's platform like? What's that white guy's opinion? So it's kind of driving them to your channel, right? Driving them to you. And then maybe they're going to be like, maybe he's not stupid. Maybe he has reasoning behind what he says. Of course you're going to get the trolls, but maybe you pick up, 500-600 subscribers off each single quote unquote crazy take you make, just because people, they want to hate, and then they come and then they figure it out and they're like, damn,
Yeah.
it's not that crazy.
I mean, it's unfortunate that we incentivize saying crazy things on the internet because we give people who say crazy things on the internet so much. We give them so much attention. We give them so much money. We basically give them, there was a particular thing that I commented on the other day, and this is a really, interesting deviation from basketball completely. Wayne Gretzky. You're aware that Wayne Gretzky was seen at the home of Donald Trump, yes?
Yeah.
Mar-a-Lago in Florida. And this woman said, I cannot support Gretzky Estates. Their Scotch, I think they're Scotch wine.
I
They
saw
they
that.
do something where you saw that. And
Yep.
they basically they ship you some sort of shipment of wine, scotch, something
Yeah,
for
a subscription. Every month you get so many or
it's
something.
I think it's every 3 months, and they get it's like $170 or something like that, right? So she's
Right.
like, I'm canceling my subscription to this. And there's a whole bunch of liberals who are just like, you go, girl. Guess what? I didn't know about Gretzky Estates. I'm
Now you,
sure I'm sure a million people who saw that post had no idea about Gretzky Estates. Congratulations, woman. You canceled one subscription, which cost them $175, and you in turn gave them
free marketing.
probably a $25,000 ad campaign.
Yeah, insane.
Congratulations.
Insane.
And you know what?
Yeah.
If I can make a like a like a what do I say, like a PSA to the entire Democrat Party, the entire left in Canada, in the United States, if all you do is talk about what the right is doing wrong, all you're doing is amplifying what they do. I think it's really ridiculous. Like you have to realize anything you talk about, you give it energy, you give it oxygen, anything, right?
Mhm.
So the people who spend, videos tearing me down, thank you. Because the only way I lose that equation is if I spend videos retaliating.
Right.
That's when I lose. But if I don't react to it, then I have just gotten free publicity, and as long as I'm not a horrible person and I'm doing what I believe is true, and I'm not clickbaiting. I believe what I said about Chris Bosh, just so we're clear. I 100% believe what I watch. When I watch Anthony Davis, I do not see, oh yeah, him, Chris Bosh, that's pretty close. Like Dwayne Wade yesterday, he was like, oh yeah, it's like Chris Bosh in the top 5 power forward. I was like, bro, I get to 20 before I get to Chris Bosh so fast, right? But that being said, like, it is worth noting that we do give so much attention to the things we don't like, and I don't really know if people think about what they're doing when they do that.
Exactly. Exactly. And shoot, Chet's out 8 to 10 weeks.
Yes, Chad
Yeah,
Holmgren is out.
that's crazy. We can give them the Walmart version, which is Chris Boucher. That's just gonna cost them a case of Wallace. So
Yeah. Libby saying you disrespected Chris Bosh, dude. No, I didn't. You disrespected Nick Claxton. Respect my man, Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton's good. You know what's funny? I Googled Nick Claxton and Chris Bosh, and prior to 2021, I found hundreds of posts online calling Nick Claxton Chris Bosh light. They were just like going on and on about like how this guy's gonna become the next Chris Bosh, how next to Kyrie and Kyrie and KD, he's gonna be like their Bosh. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And it's so interesting how now I'm just crazy for saying that. I'm not saying Nick Claxton's better than Chris Bosh, or Chris Bosh is way better than Nick Claxton. I agree. Someone said the other day, they're like, oh, Nick Claxton's closer to Emeka Okafor than he is Chris Bosh. That's probably true. That's actually true. That's 100% true. Yes, he is closer to Emeka Okafor. But I think what people are missing about my take is really just how big a gap I think there is between Anthony Davis and Chris Bosh.
Right.
Because
And
it's huge.
I think when people hear something like that, because for some reason superstars are so heavily protected, where it's so hard to say something about a guy that's so easily likable, and it's not like you're sitting here saying that he's a bum, right? You're just acknowledging that there's a gap between him and the guy in front of him, right? Like we can say here, okay, RJ Barrett is closer to Spencer Dinwiddie than he is DeMar DeRozan, right? Like that's not saying that RJ is a bum, but DeMar is better.
I wish he would have used a way better player than DeMar DeRozan. RJ Barrett is closer to Spencer Dinwiddie than he is to Luka Doncic.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I was trying to make it a little bit controversial.
Yeah, I mean Spencer Dinwiddie is a really good player,
Dinwiddie's damn good. I wish he would have played last year. I wish he would have been in the cards at least for the second half of the tank.
but I
Oh,
don't think he would have helped you tank. I think he would have
no,
helped you win. Yeah. Anyways, man, any final thoughts?
yeah. Like I said, just the lumps are going to be there, but if you can draw positivity away from it, you can draw development away from it. Once again, the one, and I will say, after last night coming on here and being like, Darko needs to do this, Darko should do that. Like the one thing I can say is, no matter what, he is going to stick to his system. He is not going to deviate away from his system and what he believes works and what he's doing. And that says a lot about him, not only as a person, but as a man. Right. And I have huge respect for that, because when times get tough, people usually abandon the things that they believe in and they go to what's easy. He has not gone to what's easy. And I respect that.
Yeah. I wish he would play. I wish he wouldn't play Davion Mitchell 19 minutes, but that's just me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, man. Thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to the post game. We haven't done the post game last couple of games, but let's check this out, and hopefully this doesn't get copyright flagged.
You know, obviously the second half wasn't the same as the first. What do you attribute that to?
We couldn't really stop them. I don't know, like we're making like basic mistakes. Obviously, we got to look at the film to figure out really what was going on, but felt like they were getting easy buckets. We were like scrambling to guard like very basic actions. It's not like they were doing anything special, and it felt like we were a little bit all over the place, and we couldn't really stop them. And then when we did get them to miss, like they got a bunch of offensive rebounds. So it's tough to play when they're catching a rhythm like that, and you feel like you can't get a stop. And then I feel like that translates to offense, and we got a little bit stagnant.
How much is LeBron sort of the factor in all that? I mean, on one hand, I'm sure there are a lot of breakdowns you made, but I'm sure not every player takes advantage of every mistake you guys make.
I mean, for sure. Like they got good offensive players. They got good individual players that make plays and punish that. That's no question. But we gotta hold ourselves to a higher standard, I think. It doesn't matter if they're gonna punish our mistakes or not. We shouldn't be making so many mistakes, or like these like little miscommunications where we don't really know what's going on the court. We should know how to guard these actions. It's not like they were throwing stuff at us that we didn't know was coming. Like we should know our coverages in these situations, and yeah, that really wasn't the case in the second half.
On a night-to-night basis, what do you feel like is required of you the most in, like, well, I guess at any game, in any given game with this group of guys?
I mean, it's tough to like single something out like that. I think there's a lot of things. Rebounding, being like a defensive anchor, like communicator, trying to get people in the right spots, being like a connector on offense. Like it's not really one thing that I could like single out like that.
Do you feel like that role had to expand given this year?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think that's always kind of been the case. I think the biggest difference this year is like there's even more of like a teaching role with like some of the new guys or young guys, whoever it is, coming in, like trying to get everybody on the same page, like trying to teach some of the young guys that haven't been exposed to these situations very often how to like best handle it, I guess.
Hey, yeah. So I see that Barnes and all your injury players are like still with you to the waste game. How helpful are they? And then did they give you any tips for how to like stop LeBron or like AD?
Yeah, obviously that's great for us, and I think it speaks for a group that we stick together. Like Scotty's like very vocal, like even when he's not playing, like he's constantly talking to the team, like trying to teach and like get his opinions across, tell us what he's seeing out there. Same thing with like those guys like Kelly or Bruce, like they're very active and they're helping our team spirit even when they're not playing. Yeah, and as far as like guarding guys like LeBron or AD, I mean, just gotta make it as tough as possible. Like there's some guys out there that if you're guarding them one-on-one, you're gonna have a hard time. So you try to get them to settle and take tough shots, and you live with the results.
Jakob, coming into the season, through the offseason, preseason, a lot of the focus was on improving the defense this season. Do you feel like what you guys have worked on has sustained after about 2-3 weeks in the year?
I think our mindset is in the right place. We just gotta get better at executing it. I think the the groundwork is there. Like, we're trying to be aggressive. We're trying to do the right things. We're just not good at it yet. So, and especially when we get exposed by like more like experienced teams, I guess. They find loopholes in our defense. Like they figure out how to break us down. Like we're not good at adapting to these things on the fly yet, and like trying to make it tough on them. We're just giving up too many easy mistakes in these situations. But I feel like like I said, we have the right mindset, and we just gotta learn how to execute it.
Unrelated to that, but we're talking to Chris next. He's had a pretty good weekend out here in LA. Some strong performances this season. Obviously, he's back in the rotation. What are you seeing that Chris is doing on both sides of the ball here?
He's been really good for us. Kind of in that roaming role. He's been shooting the ball really well. He's done what he's always done. It's kind of like crash the board, like be a nuisance in the paint, kind of that like I said, roaming around. And on defense, he helps us with some off-ball presence, like trying to clog out the paint, protect the paint. Like we had a couple plays today where they try to post up with like some cross screens, and he was there to like muck it up. So stuff like that is really helpful for us, and I hope he keeps it up.
Hey Chris, what did you feel change in the second half there from what was a pretty good first half?
I think we started well, but they amped up their physicality, and I think we ran out of gas at the end. They had a couple good plays. Anthony Davis block and all. I think that kind of bringing it back to the game brought the energy back to them. But I think for the longest time in the game, we were doing really good.
Why do you think you've hit your stride here the last couple of weeks? I mean, it's been a pretty nice season overall, but this is maybe the steadiest stretch you've had in quite a while.
Just not trying to complicate stuff. I'm just taking what is given. Obviously, I watched the game on, and I'm playing against different people. They're guarding me different ways, and I'm just trying to find openings. Obviously, my teammates is helping me out. They're finding me, and they're also giving me a lot of confidence to take the shots that I'm taking. And the more minutes I get, the more time I get, the better it is for me to learn the game. But also, we've been playing a lot of basketball together. So, like I said, since the summer, I've been saying we've all been together. So it's a lot easier to know what to do when you've been around the guys for that so long.
Yak was talking about the fact that I guess in this year in particular, his role has had to be a bit more of a teacher with these young guys. Do you feel the same way? And if so, how have you done that for this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of us, it's been really, about learning and, trying to figure it out. It's trying to teach a little bit more, and for them, it's to kind of learn. But I think when you get the two together, it's a good combination. I feel like we're becoming better leaders. And that's the best thing for us. It's like I said, we make mistakes too, but like when you're at that position, you're trying to figure out what you could do to help your teammates and all. I think we're doing a really good job at that. Especially a guy like Yak, I think he has the ball a lot in his hands, so he gets to, see the game and teach these young guys what to do. And like I said, I feel like we all, getting part of the game, kind of teaching a little bit more.
Chris, I noticed a couple moments in the third quarter where it felt like the Lakers were starting to eat into the lead, and then you hit the three, and then you had the putback. In those moments, do you ever think about like holding the team together emotionally a little bit, especially because you're playing with the second unit a lot, right? And sometimes you guys play really well together, but sometimes you guys, struggle. That emotional side to the game.
I mean, obviously, I think, when you look at who we're coming off the bench, me and Davion got experience, but after that, we got a lot of rookies and all, so it definitely makes me, kind of want to take this leadership role a little bit better. And, I mean, obviously, if I make a mistake, then I'm not helping them, too, so you're really more mindful of what you're doing on the court just because you feel like, as a vet and somebody coming off the team, you got to kind of get going so they can follow.
How do you keep your team, I guess, on the positive side emotionally, given these tough games?
Just staying together. I think we're, the best thing we could do is take the good things that we're doing and trying to put them all together in one game. Obviously, it hasn't been going like that, but if you look at the game that we're playing, we're winning most of the time, and then, we lose the lead. So I think clearly we're doing some good things. We just got to put it all together.
Chris, I know, especially early in your career, but even later on as well, there's been times where you've been in the rotation, you're out of the rotation. I think young guys like Jonathan Mogbo and Shamal Shah, this is probably their first time going through that, right? They've been playing a lot, but guys are coming back, their minutes are coming down. Have you sort of spoken to them, especially because you play a lot with those in those minutes, like keeping and staying productive, even though your time becomes smaller?
I talk to them all the time. I think Jamal and Mogbo is the people that I'm around the most, just because, like, you know, I've been there before. When you get like success and all, you feel like you want to get more minutes and all, but you also kind of realize, okay, I'm a rookie and there's other players in front of me. But like, I think that they're doing a really good job. Like, they're always ready to work and always ready to put time. And you know, the earlier you explain it to them how the work, how it goes, the better it is. And the reaction that they have, I think they all doing a good job. And they, you know, they come to practice and they come to work and they take the minute that they have. And that's why the energy has been good around us. Is that nobody's complaining, everybody's trying to get better at work.
You would have thought when AD gets hurt, the way he was playing, it would have worked to your advantage. But why was LeBron able to sort of dictate things and obviously get Jackson Hayes involved the way he did?
LeBron James is probably one of the best, if not the best player that ever played this game. And it's
Second best. Stop it, Darko. He is not, if not the best.
easy to forget it. It's easy to forget when he goes in the first half and scores 5 points, and you think that's going to be the game for him, and that's not reality. He's just a player that sees the game with different eyes and is able to punish every little mistake or mismatch that he has there. I thought that he played really well in the second half. I thought that this game was a game of two different halves. I thought that first half we had, especially that first quarter, we had more force. I thought that we did really elite job in the first half rebounding the ball, and that we did not have enough momentum and energy to sustain that for 48 minutes. Credit to them, they played good game, and we got to learn from this and be better.
Do you chalk that up to, you know, long trip, young team learning how to do all of that, 4 games in 7 nights, or just the force of the opponent?
I never look at the schedule and blame the schedule. It's every night in NBA you gotta be ready. You gotta be every day player and be ready for every game. I thought that we had several guys that played better today than they played yesterday. So every game is a story for itself, and the game is on the schedule. We got to show up and be ready to play. As I said, like, we played really good in the first half, and we tried a little bit of hero ball in the second half. The ball stopped moving, and we were not able to close that game the way we wanted.
You spoke about RJ a bit before the game, 4 assists, 4 turnovers. Do you think any of that is getting used to playing with somebody like IQ again, or is it just, again, like you mentioned, the scouting report and what comes with that?
For sure, there is effect of quickly coming back. It's just a different role in different situations that both of them they're learning how to play off of each other. They're learning how to play again with Yak. We're still playing quickly in 2 stints in the first half, 5 minutes, and in the 3 stints in the second half. So there is a lot of moving pieces there, but we got to use this as learning opportunity. We have 1 more game on this road trip. We got to go to Milwaukee and get ready for that one.
Winning on the road is difficult in the NBA. You haven't been able to do that yet this year. Is there any commonality, any theme to what's happening with your team?
It's hard to make any conclusions after only 10, 11 games of start of the season. It's early in the season. We're still having guys coming from injuries. We have still players that are sidelined. We're really invested in developing young players that we have. And all of those experiences when they go and play against Hall of Famer in LeBron James and, such a player like Anthony Davis, is very valuable for them to learn from that. So we got to go back, watch film, and then learn from it.
Darko, it seemed like Grady had a pretty good first half, but second half wasn't as involved. What did you see with the second half and the difference with Grady, Dick?
I thought that he was doing a good job in the second half as well, moving and cutting and being opportunity. I thought that he had like 4 or 5 really good cuts that we needed to find him, and we did not find him. We as a team need to do a better job. He's not a player who's going to play 20 pick and rolls or isolation and create that way. It's a team that needs to create opportunities for him. And as good a job as we did in the first half, we did not do a great job in the second.
Defensively, I know a couple guys had challenges in the second half containing dribble penetration. With Grady, I think having to guard Austin Reeves, what did you see, I guess, from that matchup, and sort of how can he learn from this specific matchup, for example?
I mean, Austin Reeves is the player that's really good pick and roll player, very good shooter. He moves without the ball really well. So you gotta have your antennas up nonstop when you play against him. So just recognizing that when action is coming his way, to be early in a position to close the gap, to be physical with him, and to know what's coming, so he can be prepared for those situations. So that was the biggest learning, today for him.
Another double-double for Yak tonight. He played a very physical game today. I know in Denver we talked about his dynamic with Grady. What are you seeing from him on a night-to-night basis that he's able to adapt to what the team needs from him the most?
When he brings physicality like he did tonight, I thought that he did a really good job of rebounding the ball. It's not easy to go and play against Anthony Davis. I thought that he did a really good job, especially that first half of boxing out, rebounding, but also playmaking, setting good screens. He's a big part of offense when he's involved in creating those all-ball situations and in pick and rolls with both RJ and Quickley. So I think overall he's playing really good start of the season.
Do you feel like his communication has increased this year in comparison to where it was last year, being kind of like the center of, the team, literally the center? Do you feel like his line of sight on the team is kind of like increased vision, more leadership quality?
Yes, I think that he's, first of all, experienced player, still young player. I think that his voice with the team is always well heard. Guys respect him, and he's using his voice right away with the team.
Okay, cool. Okay, takeaways. This was not a super fun game to watch, to be honest. Typically, I think the first Lakers game was a lot of fun, right? RJ, Grady, there's just sort of a individualized obsession with big numbers from a certain player because it allows you to at least focus on the future. And it feels like when you're 2-9, heading for possibly 2-10, Scotty Barnes is injured. A lot of players around the league are injured right now, frankly. There's a lot of injuries around the league right now. Paolo is injured. Chet is injured. KD is injured. Joel is, consistently injured. Tyrese Maxey, Tyrese Halliburton's playing through injuries. There's a lot of injuries right now, right? It was a back-to-back game. Saint Zion, yeah, back-to-back game. So it's tough, but you got to look at this from the vision of the process, right? You got to see this as who's getting better, who's getting worse, what is the scheme. There's so many moving parts. There's there's a style of basketball that you're playing. Number two, there's the plays that you're executing and how well you're executing them, right? The idea behind or the concept behind your defense and offense, and then how well are you executing, right? Is there something fundamentally wrong with how the Raptors play basketball other than the fact that they don't have the talent and they're not executing? No. So again, the idea is right. It's a great idea, right? To play the way they're playing offensively is a good idea. It's unpredictable. It's advanced. It's modernized. It's a modernized approach to basketball. So the idea is right. The development is right. We're seeing young players develop every single day. We're seeing, more and more from Ochai. So what happens 6 months from now when we're seeing that same stuff from Jonathan Mogbo or Jamal Shed or Jamison Battle, who did make that three but then stepped out of bounds? But, you're going to see. Do you can of a better job at coaching this team than Darko Pen? No, I definitely can't. And I appreciate you saying that, but I think that's sort of a sideswipe compliment because you probably assume that Darko Rajakovic is an idiot. Kamala Harris. See, you gotta really admire a person who is so stupid that they can't even spell Kamala Harris right. So you have been banned, Kamala Harris. Anyways, my point is that this is going to be a long road, but at some point, the pieces that are currently disrupting your process are going to be swapped out for better pieces, and it's going to get better, right? And again, I continue to preach patience with this team because that's really where we're at. Like we need to have patience with this team right now because they're going through the motions of they're going through the process of integrating a really big part of their offense, which is Immanual Quickley, and Immanual Quickley is going through the process of integrating himself. You'll remember that he missed preseason, so that really disrupted his momentum. Today, he got caught up on a play where he was holding his wrist, and I think it was with Gabe Vincent, and he came out holding his wrist. So I hope that doesn't flare up and that creates more of a setback. Again, the process from here till your first playoff berth with this team is just a process of no skip steps. It's a process of development. It's a process of, reintegrating. I don't want to say reintegrating. What's the word I'm looking for? It's the process of teaching, right? It's the process of teaching these kids how to play basketball properly. Oh, good God. Why? Go to hell. What kind of a troll has nothing better to do at 1:53 in the morning? Jeez. Spam. Disruptive. Just my 2 cents saying Raps have the worst record in the league. They do. And their record since, without Scotty Barnes, since he became a star, I think it's like 2-26. Sorry, 4-26, 4-27. They just don't know how to win games without him right now. And frankly, they're not going to win that many games with him if they continue to play these rotations. I'll be really curious at the deadline what they do with Boucher, Brown, Mitchell, etc. I really hope that the Raptors have like a clear window into the limitations of Davion Mitchell going forward. Because again, seeing him play 19 minutes every night, I understand Immanual Quickley is on a minutes restriction. He's still trying to come back, but I would rather play Jonathan Mogbo like very easily. Darko seems to really love playing point guards, and it's like basically I agree with him about a lot of things that he does, but it's like back-to-back years I've just had a real issue with his point guards. And that's Malachi. That was last year. That was Malachi. It was the cutting of Jeff. It was the over-reliance on Dennis Schroeder. And now it is this, right? So just my 2 cents saying all of the vets are gone for sure. They will try to tank out. Well, if you do tank out, there's a great prize. There's a great prize for it. I said before the start of the season, regardless of how the season goes, no matter who gets injured, whether the team tanks, whether the team goes for it, I'm not going to. Do you think the team would be better with Jordy? Well, if you remember prior to Darko's hiring, the person that I pushed hardest was Jordy Fernandez and Ime Udoka. Those were the two people that I really advocated for, and they've been awesome coaches. I think Darko is also an awesome coach, right? So we'll figure it out. It'll continue to go forward. I feel like I'm talking at a funeral right now because it's tough, man. Like it's been raining all day in Toronto. First of all, it's been raining all day in Toronto. It's been a really, really tough road trip for the Raptors, which is winless throughout. And now you have these super late games and you don't even have a single player break 20 and you're in all these games and there's a little bit of hope, but it's weird because at no point during this game did I really feel like the Raptors were going to win. I had one moment of hope where I'm like, I think the Raptors could win. And that's when Anthony Davis went to the locker room. I was like, oh, maybe there's a chance here. Maybe they get disrupted, their momentum gets disrupted, and then it just went completely the other way. So I was like, didn't see that coming. But Tyler been saying such a crap day outside today. Yeah, and I feel like that might just like weigh on you a little bit. But thankfully, the Toronto Raptors did not have crappy weather today because they were in LA. So, hopefully they had they have some time here to just regroup themselves. But I think the worst thing that could happen right now for the Raptors is they really start to play like their record. Like they start to embrace the identity of, hey, we're the worst team in the league. Because that's got to be a gut check moment for all these players. And that's probably why you saw a little bit of hero ball in the second half, right? Because I think everyone is aware, like everyone's checking the standings, everybody knows, everyone's getting, and now you are literally the worst team in the league right now. If we turn on Tankathon, this is the worst team in the league. They are number one, right? So I said before the season, in your first 25, you want to get to at least 10 wins. 10 wins. So you can be 10-15. That's going to be really hard to do without Scotty, man. It's going to be really hard to do. So I don't know. Would you do Davion for Bones? Nope. I don't like Bones Highland. But I don't like Davion Mitchell either. That's just kind of my perspective on it. I think he costs you a lot. But, it's worth noting that he does some good things defensively. Yeah. Anyways, man, I'm going to talk to you all later. I will be on the panel tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about all these injuries. We're going to be talking about the recap of the game. The recap of the weekend, all the games that happened in the NBA this weekend. And yeah. Anyways, I want to give a quick shout out to Cynthia, James, and hang on one second, and Kevin for your e-transfers. I really appreciated it. That was very, very nice over the last couple of days. Your support means a lot to me, obviously. My regular setup, which is my iMac, which is a 2011 iMac, which I've been running off of for a few years. And it's a little bit blurry, and the image is a little bit blurry, but I just appreciate having a 27-inch screen in front of me and being able to run this show. And that one, the fan died yesterday. So probably not going to waste time repairing it. Got to save up for a new computer. Initially had gotten a new computer because of a very generous super chat. A very generous e-transfer, but then decided to return it when it just wasn't working out for me. Like the camera upgrade wasn't on it. It was like a 2017 iMac. Here's a question for y'all. Why are iMacs so crappy when it comes to cameras? Like, I don't know. So maybe the long-term solution is right now I'm just gonna have to use my Mac Pro at some point and then just get a webcam. I don't know. Anyways, Sasha saying 2 a.m. 250 viewers. What the fuck? Well, yeah. Oliver saying gotta get a webcam. Well, it's funny. I'm a filmmaker and I'm a cinematographer, and I have the worst lighting of any podcaster in the world. Go make that make sense. I don't know if y'all have seen my cinematography reel, but I clearly know how to light other people. I just don't know how to light myself. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Enjoy your nights. I'm gonna get some shut eye, and then I'm gonna get on the panel tomorrow and probably get screamed at a lot or scream myself. I don't know. There's a lot of screaming that goes on that show. If you're into drama, if you're into hot takes, if you're into, people getting very animated with each other, definitely check out the panel on Player's Choice tomorrow. I will be on it. And usually there are I don't know, you're talking about 250 people at 200. Swiper going to be loud tomorrow. The Mavs lost. The Mavs lost? Yes, the Mavs did lose. The Denver Nuggets won tonight. So he's loud no matter what. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great one. And thank you for supporting the stream. Thank you for supporting Pantera Basketball. Thank you for, in general, like when we get super chats and all that stuff. It means a lot to me. And yeah. And thanks for staying up with me until 2 a.m. And thanks for the callers. I appreciate that too. Take care, guys. Bye.